Junkenstein's Laboratory is the most recent limited time game mode, and I'm just gonna say it right up, it's amazing. It is absolutely a blast. It is so fun. So for this video, I want to talk about the things that make this game mode so good and why it has kind of like lit the world on fire, and also a couple of things that maybe don't work as well or just some growing pains. It is a limited time game mode. Not everything is going to be perfect, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, again, spoilers, I think it's great. I think it's so much fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've played more of this than I have actual Overwatch in the past week because it is just so engaging. So let's talk about like why, right? I don't need to tell you that the builds that you can do for this thing can get so crazy and so fun. There's so many super transformative elements, but also if you're not feeling like trying to put stuff together, they have a lot of different options that are just a little more generic. And I think that is really great. There are rarities in there, but building an effective build is not just stacking all of the rare mutations. You have to kind of think effectively. It's like, okay, well, I have a 1-star mutation that makes me go 20% faster, but then my Ori Fortify makes me go faster, and that's a rarer mutation. And I kind of want to make it like that if I'm going to spec into that kind of build. Super duper fun. I'm very glad with how the balancing of the mutations has kind of become, how it's kind of laid itself out. It's a really great system and a lot of foresight, a lot of great options for basically every character. The discard feature where you can kind of like take one of them out and add 2 in a round instead of just 1 is a really great addition. That means that you're not locked in. Since you can't swap heroes, you have ways to counteract that, and you can outplay the characters. You can see what they're running and see how you can better make a build to counter what they're doing. It's a really great idea. It makes a lot of sense, and it's very intuitive, not overly complicated. Again, just a really good execution on that front as well. It makes it really engaging. So you're not just like looking at the menu and picking your favorite. You're also just strategizing about, what if I drop this and I spec more into this kind of build? Would that be better than what I'm currently running, or should I stick with my guns? So there's actually not a lot of downtime, even though the picking process takes about like 40 seconds for every round. It honestly feels like it might not be enough sometimes because I'm so invested in trying to figure out what build is going to be great. You're going to watch me get MTD'd a lot, but we're still going to win 3-0. Also, you should subscribe. Thank you. The idea of powering up as you go is such a satisfying feel, and for a game mode that is for fun, it is a lot better than adding it in like maybe the PvP or something, or like actual PvP, right? So since it's all silly and it's all funny, when you have these super duper overpowered characters, you're still trying to figure out what everybody is doing. It's not the most competitive mode ever. So it's fun to just have these complete Exodia builds, and everyone's kind of like doing this Clash of the Titans, and it's just chaotic. It's really interesting. It fits with the theme of Junkenstein Halloween. It's great. It's a really good pairing there as well. There are a lot of characters and options. There are like 12 characters in this thing, and that is a lot of things and abilities you have to make, and it's not like they are limited in the amount of things that they have. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like 20, like maybe like 25, 30 different mutations for every single hero across 12 heroes. That is a lot of work for a limited time game mode. It is actually kind of a miracle that we have this game in such a feature-rich state, and it's kind of a bummer that it's going to go away in like 2 weeks from now. I'm honestly a little upset about that because I think it's really fun. I think it could stay around if they really wanted to. And on that note, since there are so many mutations and they kind of like play with each other differently and they're all kind of random, There's so much replayability, even if you only play one hero or two heroes, right? There's so much replayability with each different hero because there's so many different ways that you could build it, or maybe you can just build a jack of all trades, just have a bunch of stuff that you like. You don't have to go into like super specific stuff, but if you want to, you can. And if you're getting bored in the middle of the game, you can swap up your build. It's great. It's actually really fun. You're not going to get like stuck with something that's not as fun for you because there are ways to get around it and try other things. It's a really, really good system. And again, since there is so much to dive into, it is just so replayable. Like, I want to keep playing this. I think at this point I have now played every single character. But, you know, this is the only time I've played Ryan, and I kind of went into like this shield build, but I didn't get any of the fun stuff. Like, there was a lot of other things that I wanted to try out, so now I'm tempted to go back in and play more Reinhardt and play more Orisa and play more Pharah and the characters that I didn't get a lot of time with, because there's just so much to dig into and to put your sink your teeth into. I've seen Reinhardt with the fire strike that puts lava on the ground. That seems really silly. I never got the chance to have that one. So what a really good game mode. I'm glad it's here for 3 weeks and not just like 1 or 2, because there really is, you need a lot of time to really dive in and get the most out of it. MTD, by the way. So that is what's good. And I want to like stress, I am going to talk about a lot of nitpicks coming up, but I want to stress how much I really like this mode. And I think it is absolutely excellent. So as we go into this next section, just know that I really do like this mode. And the rest of this is really more like, how do we make it better for the future? Or if there's some of these things are kind of like not fixable, but you know, just something to be aware of. So I think the biggest downside is that quick games, so like 3-0s, you're going to watch 2 3-0s back to back from my POV. They just aren't as fun. And the reason is because you don't get to build into the crazy wacky abilities so much, because those are more on the higher rarities. And since you're going to be stuck at the lower rarities because you're only getting to round 3, it's very unlikely you're going to have a super duper fun build. Obviously, you know, like playing around what you get and, you know, playing your build, that is fun. But when you have other games where you're seeing, you know, full 4 rarity picks across the board, and it's like, well, I only ever got up to rarity 2 in this game because that's just kind of how my cards rolled. It isn't as satisfying, and I think it's something that I don't know how there would be a system where it would encourage you to go further on rounds. Maybe the losing team gets better rolls so that they're more likely to win, and then you're able to play more rounds more often. That could be a solution, although I'm sure, you know, forced comeback mechanic is not the best thing ever, but it is a forced fun game mode, and I think people just want to play it more often. Now, of course, this is a fun game mode, but I will say the balancing leaves a little bit to be desired, because sometimes you'll pick a character and then realize the other characters in the lobby are just better. I think Ashe is an absolute menace in this game mode. Zenyatta feels like he gets power scaled out really hard near the end game. There's just a couple of weird quirks like that. And also a couple of of mutations that feel like you should probably always take them. Take for Soldier 76, he has one that just gives him more health. And also one that makes him unstoppable while he's sprinting. And he takes less damage. And it's just like, well, I could play another build, but also I think it's just more effective and it's going to be more fun if I just play this build because it's really, really good, right? So I think the balancing could use a little work if they ever wanted to bring this game mode back, but it is for fun. It's not that big of a deal unless your entire team is just getting one tapped by Ashe from across the map because she has a mutation that lets her do more damage multiple ways over, and specifically more damage when she's further away from you, making her Widow with an extremely fast fire rate. That one's a little over the top, I think. I think they could have toned that down a little more. But overall, still really fun. And the early game feels much more balanced than the late game, which definitely feels like the point. So I don't think it's that much of a problem. Hopefully you can just 3-0 roll, but as we say, it's not as fun to 3-0 roll. So, what else do I have here? So obviously there's kind of like the rogue elements here. There's randomness, which can somewhat interfere with your builds. And in an actual like roguelike, you're supposed to work around the elements that they give you. The problem here is that you are trying to actively counter what the other people have. So it's not that you're just getting bad luck, it's that they're also potentially getting good luck. So it can feel a little like, okay, so they've got, you know, the Reinhardt shield is super, super high. What if we just try to do like super damage up, shield break, but I just can't get anything that like actually works to do that. And now I'm kind of scrambling to figure out something else, and we're just not able to work around it as effectively. It can feel a little bad, just kind of like the rich get richer kind of thing. But again, it is not that much of a problem, I think, in my opinion, because, you know, that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? You're kind of supposed to work with what you're given. But again, since you can't swap heroes, you know, some characters just, no matter what mutations you put on them, will feel worthless in certain scenarios. Like this game on Reinhardt, I could basically only interact with the other Rein who was rolling me because I suck at Reinhardt. But, you know, I can't interact with Pharmacy. The Reaper is moving so fast because of his build, I can't keep up with him. And they have like an Ashe in the super far back line keeping her distance from me. It was just not, it's just not as engaging. It's not as fun as it could be, I think. So since I couldn't swap off characters and I couldn't really get a build that was working properly, it just wasn't as fun. It wasn't as fun for me to just, you know, be wildly swinging around with no sense of direction, and really no way to interact with the enemy team. So that is kind of the problems. Now, I will say there are a lot of mutations that do allow you to offset these things. I think Genji can interact with the flyers a lot better with certain mutations. Pharah can counterplay the hit scans a lot. Like, there are a lot of really good things, but there are definitely situations where it doesn't quite work out like they want it to, in my opinion. But, you know, I think that's kind of, you know, to just add more things, hopefully, to make it better. Faster Fire Strike for Rein would be a really cool idea for one of those. But yeah, that's kind of it for the negatives. I just want to say, like, this is extremely fun. It is awesome. This is one of the best game modes they have ever made in Overwatch, I think, especially the PvP ones. You know, I always liked like the PvE Storm Rising, the Archives missions, and I really liked the Junkenstein challenge missions. I like Wrath of the Bride a lot. But for the PvP ones, this one is really, really, really good. It is on the level of Mischief and Magic. It's close, you know, or it's on the level probably more than the Le Seraphim one, which I thought was actually a really fun game mode. It's great. It really is great. I'm hesitant to say it's the best Halloween game mode that we've gotten because, you know, some of them are classics and some of them were fun in their time. Like, you know, original Junkenstein will always be, you know, lauded as super fun, engaging, but when we play it now, it's like, well, you know. But yeah, I think Blizzard, the dev team, they absolutely cooked with this one, and I would love to see more. I'm sure they have plenty more talents and maybe other game modes that they're working on for other events that will be similar to this one, and maybe incorporate some of these elements with other characters, and that would be a really, really cool thing to see. I'm really excited to see where they go with this idea. Anyways, that is going to do it from me. Please subscribe to my channel if you wouldn't mind. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting recently, but I do want to hear back from you. What are your favorite mutations in this game mode, and what do you think about it as a whole? What are your favorite Halloween or just general limited time game modes? Please let me know in the comments below. Like the video while you are at it. I stream live. This was stream live. Twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays is when I'm live. Always something to talk to me about. And also, just playing a lot of ranked recently. I will be playing a lot of Rivals 2 as we go forward. And I am doing something in my Discord server. I am doing a Game of the Year prediction thing. It is your chance to win 3 months gift sub to my Twitch channel if you are able to predict the Game of the Year nominees the best. All the stuff, all the info that you need is in my Discord. So if that interests you, please join down below. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Please have a good day.